Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, please go ahead and pass the boxes down the rows. Let's make sure to give everyone an opportunity to catch some of the barakah as we approach the second half, or we are already in the second half of Ramadan. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept your prayers, accept your fast, accept your dua, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us our shortcomings and our sins. Allahumma ameen. We have also, the campaign for the seed fund. I'm sure Imam Aziz has been keeping you guys up to date. I don't have an update on the numbers for you tonight. All I have for you is to say that, mashallah, the Tarbiya House Roseville location, this location, has been the beacon of our success. By the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This community has been the backbone of the Tarbiya Institute, and we have to continue to be those that lead by example. Sabiqun as-sabiqun, right? We are the ones that are the forerunners among the forerunners. And we set that precedent and that example, and the Thomas follows it. Inshallah ta'ala, our Elk Grove community is slowly but surely catching up as well. So whatever contributions you have made or pledges you have made, I ask you to take a second look and see what more you can give. When you give from your wealth, you don't reduce from your wealth, you actually invest in its growth, not just in the dunya, but inshallah ta'ala in the akhirah as well. That's just a reminder from me to you. I love this community. I live in Roseville myself, mashallah, and this is, it's a highlight for me to be able to come be here with you any nights in the month of Ramadan, and I cherish these moments. Barakallahu feekum. Just some quick reminders. Fajr Iqama is 20 minutes after the adhan. Zakatul Mal, this month you can calculate your zakat. The nisab is approximately 7,500. You can visit the Tarbiya website, and it has a zakat calculator. You input all of your information, and it'll give you a convenient number, inshallah ta'ala, and simplify the process for you. Zakatul Fitrana, or Zakatul Fitr, is $20 per person. The sunnah is to give this as early as possible so that it reaches the recipients before Eid Salah. I know we have a tendency of delaying that, but the sooner we give it, the better, inshallah, for us and our families. We have designated zakat boxes for your convenience. You'll see them. They're marked right next to the office manager's table, and it says zakat on it. So please do not put zakatul mal in there unless it's like an envelope and it's labeled as such. The boxes are for fitr. If you want to do the mal, you just speak to the office manager, inshallah. Just make sure that it goes to the right location, because otherwise, if we receive a $3,000 check or envelope in zakat, we're going to wonder how many people in your family there are, mashallah. That's a lot of people. May Allah increase our families and bless them long. We have our Quran contest on March 22nd. Again, even if you don't feel confident that your children can memorize the surah, the idea is to encourage them to participate in these types of competitions, healthy competitions. And whatever it is that they memorize, inshallah, it's going to benefit them in their life. So it's not about the prizes are just the cherry on top, right? For those that are extra competitive and they want to do it and they have the capacity. But even if you're able to memorize 1 or 2 ayat, that is 1 or 2 ayat more than you knew before. And this blessings, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more you struggle with it, the more barakah you have. So I encourage you all to sign up your children, inshallah. This is March 22nd. Obviously, we have our Sunnah Club still from ages 4 to 8. I don't hear any noise in here, so that means everyone has checked their children in. Takbir! Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. We have a couple of upcoming qiyams. But before I do that, I want to mention, it's important for us, like I said, we are the sabiqun as-sabiqun, right? We're competing in goodness. And so we have to set that standard from A to Z. That means that when we come to the masjid, our shoes are on the rack. Simple details. When we come to the masjid, we park in a designated parking spot. And if we're late, it's fine. Find a designated spot and walk over. We have tow trucks here. The last thing we want to do is to tow someone's vehicle, but if we don't have, this set rule, it's just, people are going to park on the roof and come into the building, and we want to prevent that, right? This is the adab of the masjid, and we want to bring ourselves up to that level, inshallah ta'ala. So tow trucks are actively patrolling. If you have your car in an awkward, place, there's no shame, just, fix it. Go find a different place, inshallah, and park it in a designated spot. We have a couple of nights that we're going to have some qiyam, inshallah. March 20th, it's an odd night. That'll be the first odd night, inshallah. We'll have qiyam, followed by suhoor. So we're right there. A few more days, inshallah, and we're going to be entering the last 10 days. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them days of forgiveness and mercy. Allahumma ameen. And we also have on March 21st, our youth qiyam here in Roseville, inshallah ta'ala. It'll have exciting and engaging itinerary. Mark your calendars and be a part of these spiritually enriching nights, inshallah. We have some dua here before we begin the khatira. Sister Lubna is requesting dua for her mother, who is undergoing cancer treatment and surgery. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her complete shifa and great health. Allahumma ameen. An anonymous dua here. Oh Allah, forgive our sister for her past and future sins, whether committed in private or in public. Allahumma ameen. This is for every one of us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us forgiveness bil afiyah. Allahumma ameen. Sister Nurman is requesting dua for her father, who's struggling with the brain bleeding and is currently in the hospital. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to alleviate his pain and his may it be an expiation of his sins and give him full and speedy shifa. Allahumma ameen. Brother Alan is requesting dua for his healing from schizophrenia, which has been suffering. He's been suffering from for the past 16 and a half years. La ilaha illallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove this ailment from our brother, heal his mind, and to give him peace. Allahumma ameen. An anonymous community member requests dua for her hospitalized partner, who has been sick for the past month. She fears he may be affected by some illness that they can't figure out. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him healing and protection. Allahumma ameen. Ishal requests dua for guidance in finding a career path that aligns with his values, provides a halal and decent income, benefits others, and makes his parents proud. Allahu Akbar. Ameen. This is a dua that each of us need to be making. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it so for Brother Ishal and for the rest of us as well. Allahumma ameen. Sister Aisha has requested dua for her friend's father, who has been hospitalized for over a month due to cancer. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease his struggles and bring comfort to his family and remove every cancer cell from his body. Allahumma ameen. An anonymous sister is requesting dua that if it is good for her in this life and the next, that Allah grants her union with the one written for her naseeb in ease, love, and divine blessings. May they make it halal soon and have their families accept each other. Allahumma ameen. Brothers and sisters, we cannot be obstacles from people trying to do the khair, the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I pray that whoever this family is, to soften your hearts and inshallah encourage, this blessed union between these two young brothers and sisters, inshallah, to protect them from the dunya and the harams of this dunya. Allahumma ameen. Sister Asma requests dua to pass her driver's license test. I feel like they put some of these in here, just to throw me off. Allahumma ameen. Inshallah, Sister Asma, you pass your driving test, practice for it, inshallah, and try not to, try to abide by the traffic laws. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and increase you. Allahumma ameen. A community member is requesting dua for one of her children to gain admission into a university that is good for her, and her other child to find a righteous spouse who will be a source of love, tranquility, and barakah in their life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant both of them success and goodness in this life and the hereafter. Allahumma ameen. Brothers and sisters, the importance of having dua, from your parents. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless those of you that still have your parents, give them long, healthy lives, and keep them alive as long as possible, and may you be on their good side so that they continue to make good dua for you. Allahumma ameen. And those of us that have lost their parents, or those of you that have lost your parents, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to answer whatever dua they would have been here making for you that is good, and to give them a beautiful place in Jannah waiting for you to return to them. Allahumma ameen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. So we're continuing our journey. We are on that ship. And last time we talked, not last night, but the night before last night, we talked about the standing judgment, the different phases of standing judgment. So now we've reached the conclusion of this particular, set of scenes, this particular topic. While the people await their hisab, imagine you're standing there and your name is called. The difficult circumstances, the amount of time that you've waited already. Imagine your name is the one that's called, and so you start walking forward, and as you do so, a caller yells out to you, "Halumma lil ardi ala al-jabbar." Come forward for presentation before the all-compelling. You hear this voice commanding you, hey, come, stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as you're doing this, suddenly you see a cloud drawing near you. Remember, it's a very hot day, it's very uncomfortable. You've been waiting for a tremendous amount of time. This cloud draws near you, and as you give it a closer look, you realize it's not a cloud at all. It looks like a cloud. Rather, it's a swarm of beautiful birds that are flying in unison, and they are headed in your direction. They pass all of the other people around you, and they come and they start to hover above you, subhanAllah, providing welcoming shade from the scorching heat. And you hear that caller again say, come forward for presentation before the all-compelling. So you continue to march with great confusion, wondering what that cloud above you is, why it's there, and why is it covering you and not anybody else. And you raise your eyes to glance into that cloud, and you realize you're able to, on those specific birds, you're able to discern words. So on the birds themselves, there are different words written, and you're wondering, what is this? So you start to try to make them out. You see Al-Baqarah, Al-Imran, Al-Ikhlas, Ankabut, Maryam. And you said, wait a minute, I know these names. I recognize them. These are names of the surahs in the Quran. And the hadith explains this to us a little bit more. It says the Quran and its people who used to act upon it will be brought on the day of judgment with Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Imran preceding it, as if they were two clouds or two shades of black with the brightness between them, or as if they were two flocks of birds in ranks pleading on behalf of their companion. And you are that companion, brothers and sisters. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us those that if we have to stand hisab, that we have the shade of those birds. Allahumma ameen. But ask yourself, what kind of ahl are you from? What kind of people do you belong to? Are you Ahlul Quran? Inshallah, we are Ahlul Quran. Say Ameen. Are you Ahlul video games? Ahlul movies? Ahlul TikTok? Ahlul cooking channel and food network? We have to make sure, brothers and sisters, that we are associating ourselves with the right group on that particular day. The Prophet ﷺ tells us about another individual. A man comes in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and before his judgment begins, he is asked by Allah, he says, أَأَنْتَ كُنْتَ تَتَجَاوَزُ عَنْ عِبَادِي? Did you used to forgive my servants their debts? And the man will say, yes, I was a merchant, and I used to look at those servants, those people that I lent money to. If they were in difficulty, I would tell my bookkeeper to forgive their debt, so that inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may forgive whatever debt we owe to him when we stand in front of him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to him, أَنَا أَتَجَاوَزُ عَنْكَ. I have forgiven you. Next. Who's next? And thus Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants him forgiveness and overlooks his sin. He used to let things go. Ask yourself, do you lend money to people? And do you let that go? Do you lend money to people and then ask about it? If you're able to, brothers and sisters, forgive their debt, and if they're in difficulty especially, give them that forgiveness, make the niyyah, and perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on that day will forgive you any of your shortcomings. So is there anyone you can forgive a debt for today? Ask yourself, big or small, whatever that debt may be. And it's not always money, brothers and sisters. It's a debt of, if someone inflicted pain on you or discomfort on you. If someone hurt you and you trusted them and they betrayed you. Is there a debt that you made a promise that you were going to return something and then you forgot to do it? Tonight, brothers and sisters, when you leave here, relieve some of these debts from these people. Relieve that burden off of your own shoulders so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can relieve whatever debts you have owed to Him. And I promise you, each and every one of us owes debts to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On that particular day, some people will not only owe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will owe others as well. Other individuals. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most forgiving. He can forgive anything. If you find yourself in a difficult situation, a'udhu billah, you commit murder, you can seek Allah's forgiveness and Allah can forgive you. But human beings have to also forgive you for whatever you transgress against them. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us those who have a clean slate when it comes to our brothers and sisters. Allahumma ameen. So the other scene that you will witness is someone whose name will be called, and once they arrive at the throne to stand judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will call upon all of humanity and ask them, if anyone here who was a victim of his wrongdoing, come today and take from his good deeds. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His protection. In the hadith, brothers and sisters, it says, من كانت عنده مظلمة لأخيه فليتحلل له منها. Subhanallah. Whoever has wronged his brother, let him seek his forgiveness for it. For there, in the hereafter, there will be neither a dinar or a dirham before compensation is taken from his good deeds from that particular brother. And if he has no good deeds, some of his bad deeds of his brother will be taken and burdened upon him. We cannot afford that transaction, brothers and sisters. We cannot afford that transaction on that day. So people will start walking towards this individual, whether it's money, they owed them their rights, they cursed at them, they hurt their feelings. And some, have lived without paying other people back. They would procrastinate paying people back and make excuse after excuse. So imagine you're standing by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, scared, but you feel somewhat comfortable because of your deeds, right? You've prayed, you fasted, you gave sadaqah, you went to umrah, you even performed hajj. You participated in all of ayamullah, right? The days of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all of a sudden a man comes to you and says, Ya Allah, he sold me a car without showing me all of its faults. And another one comes forward, he says, he borrowed my book and he never returned it. He promised he would, but he never returned it. I remembered. What will you say then? Will you call them liars? Do you see the definition of the muflis, the bankrupt on that day? Where your deeds are the things that you're going to be bankrupt from. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for protection. Allahumma ameen. And we remember the hadith, brothers and sisters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, oh so-and-so, did I not create you? Did I not make you hearing and seeing? Did I not give you a spouse? Did I not honor you and elevate you? Did I not subject horses and camels to you? Did I not grant you leadership and allow you to take from the spoils? And he will say, Bala ya Rabbi, you did. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to him, do you think that you would meet me? Do you think that you would meet me? And he says, La ya Rabbi, I didn't think that I was going to meet you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds to him, Al-yawma ansaka kama nasitani. Then he will say, today I will neglect you as you neglected me. Ya Allah. Brothers and sisters, if we ignore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of the blessings that He provided for us in this dunya, and we don't remember Him often, and we thank Him, and we seek His forgiveness, and we act justly in our dealings, in our interactions, and we give every opportunity that we can from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has lent to us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would consider that, all of this, as us neglecting Him, and thus having Him to neglect us in the akhirah. Brothers and sisters, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala neglects us in the akhirah, who will give us refuge? We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to overlook our shortcomings. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the strength and the audacity and the energy to forgive our debts, people that owe debts to us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our families and to continue to bless us on these nights.